I'm Mark Seifter.
And I'm Linda Zias Palmer.
And this is Arcane Mark. Hello, everyone.
Hi,
welcome
everybody,
to the show.
and welcome to Arcane Mark. On today's episode, we are going to be building an NPC together with those of you folks who are in Twitch chat. So as always, when we build something in a workshop style, we have to start with a concept. So if you're here in Twitch, please go ahead and start putting your concepts into chat.
Yes, we need your ideas so that we can vote and see which NPC idea becomes a reality in our workshop as we build them together.
So for concepts, this can be, sometimes concepts are more focused on the NPC's personality. Sometimes they're more focused on a kind of role that you might see them taking in stories. Sometimes they're more focused on their mechanics or the powers that they have. Really anything you want.
Sometimes they're level. Sometimes it's very specific. Sometimes it's very broad.
Aha! I see we got our first concept in here from Kojo Drissa. A former adventurer who now runs a tavern that caters to current adventurers. High charisma and int. Ah, yes. Classic idea. The sort of person who is awash in a sea of plot hooks.
That's right.
A good friend to have on your side if you want glory and treasure.
Mm-hmm. So we have a former adventurer who runs an adventuring tavern as one of our concepts for an NPC. Put in any other concepts that you have into chat, and we will put up a vote for which one we're going to build after we have a few and see which one wins in the concept phase.
So, as it pertains to the poll for the next episode, I think it would make sense. I see we had a couple votes for that already to pause voting on that so it doesn't get confused with this. With these other polls that we have later on. Yeah, Mark, you can go ahead and change that to letters. Yes?
Yep, I will, so that it won't get confused at all. But we had the poll up for the next episodes first because of the fact that then we can just grab it at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Unless it scrolls off the top like it often does in these. So you may want to grab it into another file real quick.
That is fair.
While we see if we have other ideas.
That's a good point.
Brewing.
So,
like the Adventurer's Tavern.
We have the adventurer who runs the tavern as a concept for an NPC. Does anyone have any other NPCs that they're interested in seeing us build today?
I mean, if not, we can just do the adventure.
If not, we could just do the adventure that runs the tavern by fiat, as it was the only option. Or we can put up some other options in there, like when you're doing some of those Jackbox games and not enough people put in the distractor choices, so Jackbox just provides a few kind of random ones for you. Alright, it looks like everybody really likes the former adventurer who runs an adventuring tavern, so we're doing former adventurer who runs an adventuring tavern as our NPC. So what level is this adventure? That also will tell us not just how powerful were they when they retired to run the adventuring tavern, but they might be lower level now than they were at the time as an adventurer because some of their skills may have tapered down when they weren't continually training against the most powerful creatures, and they may have instead gained tavern-based skills at that point in time.
So I see 2 comments so far. 21 for that classic, did you attempt to rob the shopkeeper? Good luck type thing. Which is definitely a classic trope, and I see 10 and an 8 as well. So we're definitely not going to be a super low level person who retired quickly or someone who had a lot of their skills.
That's right.
Atrophy. They're going to be a more capable adventurer. The kind of person who, if something goes seriously wrong in the settlement that they're in, they can jump in. Actually, I think for the context of this character, I might want to also get a sense of what are the kinds of threats and dangers that are around the settlement that they're in? Are they the strongest adventurer around generally, and the person who would still sometimes be called in to be I retired, but I have to go out when something big happens? Or are they in a place where there's a lot of bigger fish?
That's a good question.
I think that's going to inform a lot of how they...
Do we need that to write the stats or the abilities, or is it more of the sort of concept of the context for the character so we can use the character?
I think that it will help for the abilities, because if they are someone who has to be out there and doing things, then they're probably more likely to have more offensive abilities too. Whereas if there's someone who is be able to like rest and things like that. Oh, Rex Felix was thinking of Escanor. Yeah, Escanor could totally be level 21.
So it looks to me
but only if the time. Oh, Escanor would be like, you know, depending on the time of day, I'm sure it would be a dramatic swing. And
it looks to me like the median level is 10, and that's also the level that Kojo, who came up with the idea of the bartender, also picked. So let's go with level 10. So this character NPC was an adventurer. They retired to run a tavern that caters to adventurers, and that is what they're doing now.
So I see in chat, strong enough to be helpful, but not the biggest fish. Maybe they were like a support-esque bard. And that would fit with the stats that they have. That would fit with
like the charisma and intelligence if they were kind of like a lore muse, enigma muse bard.
And plus, like if they were a lore type muse, then that would also fit with being the person who's been a chronicler of stories and has a lot of useful information to pass on to the adventurers that come into their place.
Like the bartender is a classic character to be like, you go to the bartender to get the information or the adventuring hook, or they listen to your worries and they tell you about what's going on.
So I can also see them being the type of NPC that might have sort of a split level between combat and some other thing. Like, you know, maybe they have some skills that they are particularly good at for their level that represent some things about their knowledge or their performance or like their ability to, or like their ability to like barkeeper lore or whatever.
That's very possible. Skill. Like how judges are like very easy to beat in a fight, but they are not so easy to overcome in a court. On the other hand, this character is already level 10, and that means combat level 10. So they probably, I think...
Yeah, they're probably
I think
okay
they
not
don't
to have
need to have
that,
above 10 in any of their other things, but that is always an important thing to keep in mind for NPCs.
I see there's some other comments as well. They could also be like an oracle, too.
Yeah, they could be an Oracle-style character as well.
Absolutely. They also could be, someone who knows everyone, a people person.
Who just has all sorts of connections.
So, do folks want to, maybe we should do a vote on, like, Bard versus Oracle?
So, let's see what kind of, bartender are we?
Yeah.
So, are we, like, an Enigma Bard style? Are we like an Oracle bartender? Are we just a... knows everybody, like kind of like a rogue mastermindy style bartender? We don't have to be exactly a class, but we can look for like the general roadmap of the character. And Numbat suggests orc wizard on there for these for this bartender. So I'm going to put those 4 into chat. So vote for which of these basic ideas you think that the bartender has been before retiring to become a bartender. And that will help us determine what we're going to do in terms of our attribute modifiers and other numbers and special abilities.
And for ones other than 4, we'll probably also want to figure out what their ancestry is, too.
Yes.
Because
the ancestry could tie things in, such as if they had like low light vision, for example, or dark vision.
And it might also suggest certain things with the other attributes as well.
That's right.
Looks like so far we have a vote for Enigma Bard.
One for the Bard and one for the Oracle. Let's see. So both of those would be ones that would be heavily focused on charisma as our starting attribute that is very important to this character.
And we have a 1 or 3. I'm not sure. So far it looks like we're at 1.
Yes, I think we're at 1.
Oh no, I'll say 3.
Well,
okay.
There we go. Now we've got a
three-way
split.
tie.
We've got a...
No, 1.
One.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, no, there's a 3.
All right. Oh
my goodness.
So it's okay. So it comes down to, looks like Kojo breaking the tie for 1, the Enigma Bard.
All right. So we've got this character who's the Bard bartender who kind of knows everything.
Yeah, we had another vote for Enigma. So yeah, we're an Enigma Bard.
So we're level 10. And we probably have, at that point, so we are
Any thoughts on
former
ancestry?
Bartender. Put some ancestry ideas into the chat. Level 10. They don't have to be a playable ancestry. The bartender could be like some kind of other kind of ancestry that's normally like a creature that is encountered separately.
Especially at level 10, they can
At level 10, you can kind of do whatever you want. Alright, so we have ideas for like tiefling slash like lower planar Nephilim, goblin, and centaur in chat. So I'll put tiefling slash Nephilim, goblin, and centaur into the vote. And Rico says that he needs something more interesting than that.
There's a point that Nephilim could be taken out by any ancestry.
That is correct.
So we then need to figure out what...
It could be a Nephilim that is also a goblin or a centaur. Rico says a succubus from...
an intelligent
weapon from demon and intelligent weapon ancestries. So I will put all of those in. Rigo's also saying slime. He's just flooding the options with multiple possibilities. And if we did pick
tiefling slash Nephilim, we would pick like what their tiefling slash Nephilim, like what base ancestry is for that.
So here we go. Vote for your favorite ancestry, or in this case, a versatile heritage, in the chat, and then we will make our bartender be that ancestry slash heritage.
Brohead, is this slime anime you're watching, like, is it reincarnated as a slime, or is it, like, the summoner picks up trash, or whatever that one was, that was
There's a lot of
slime,
things
or, like, what
slimes.
are some other ones that are, like, been recently out with?
It was
reincarnated as slime. Okay, got it.
Yep. That was a good guess. Alright, so there have been multiple votes for the succubus lore bard, enigma bard, bartender.
One vote for, it looks like one vote for 6 and one vote for one vote for the slime, one vote for the intelligent weapon, and 2 votes for the succubus, and Rico can't decide which idea. Centaur sounds cool, but being a centaur inside of a tavern would be complicated.
Or would it be a nightmare with a K?
No! Puns. And then we have a vote for the tiefling slash Nephilim as well. So it looks like the only one that has more than one vote in this very split pool is succubus.
Alright, so it is a succubus bartender. So it is a former succubus bartender, formerly an adventuring succubus, so it's probably like a renegade demon who has sort of rejected the power and the sort of requirements of her sins in order to become an adventurer, and then gave up on that to become a bartender for adventurers. So in this case, though, we might be able to go for higher charisma than would normally be given to a 10th level adventurer, because most 10th level adventurers might have 5 charisma.
Yeah.
But given that this is a succubus, yes, maybe she rejected her sin, maybe she is not keeping all of the abilities of a basic succubus, which...
But she can totally justify higher charisma.
She can justify higher charisma.
A basic succubus has +7.
They already have
charisma,
+7, which is also the standard high for a level 10 creature. So I think that
we can just give her that.
+7 charisma sort of could make sense there. And a basic succubus has...
+4 int.
Has +4.
And part of her concept was being good at int too.
And 2 wisdom, 3 dexterity, and 2 strength. So I think that we can consider the idea of raising her intelligence to 5. Now that does mean that, like, compared to a normal human bard, her top 2 stats are very good.
Yes.
In fact, all of her stats are pretty high, but they're not actually that much higher than a level 7 demon succubus. At +2 strength, +3 dexterity, +4 constitution, +5 intelligence, +2 wisdom, and +7 charisma.
Awesome.
So moving onward from that, we want to think about perception here. So a normal, ordinary succubus has got 15 perception as a level 7 creature, which is in the moderate zone.
range. Yeah.
As a bartender, I would think that
You gotta be watching what's going on.
At least able to keep up the moderate, because you need to be someone who can lend an ear to people and watch your bar. And I think that means that, and bards like have good but not like master or legendary perception. So
her wisdom is one of her worst stats. If we have it here.
It is. Her wisdom is one of her lower stats, but out of all of them, just based on succubi having strong stats.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that if we keep to moderate, that would be like 10, 12. That would be putting her as being somewhere around master, which is also what a basic succubus would be. Like succubi are already normally master at perception, like kind of sort of. So we could make her be 18, which is one lower than moderate for perception.
Unless she's assumed to have kind of like unless she has like a perception
assumed
item
plus
or whatever,
one item, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So
because a +1 perception item is not like that.
It's pretty easy to get at that level. Maybe we'll just do a plus 19.
Yeah. All right.
And so in terms of other things, like let's just give her dark vision in here. Then moving on from senses, let's go on to languages. So
that's going to depend on the area.
It's going to depend on where she is, but she probably speaks a lot of local languages.
Yeah.
A basic succubus would have abyssal, celestial, common, draconic, and 3 more that are sort of popular in that area. So I think that we can also say that she has like 5 more.
Yeah. 5 more languages that are popular in her area.
From her area.
Now, do we think that she has telepathy?
So, well, I mean, you can get it as using the demon ancestry. You can get some telepathic abilities back, but it could be useful in a bar.
Yeah, if you want to communicate with one person and be like, hey.
Like telepathy, 100 feet, and tongues. Slash,
slash true speech, yeah.
Slash true speech. Also, if this is orc, then the abyssal will be like Chthonian.
Yeah.
And the celestial will be Empyrean.
Yep.
Or Chthonic. I can't remember which of the 2 endings it has.
It's falling out of my head now, too.
Yep.
Even though I did a lot of the stuff with it.
I'm going to say it's Chthonian, because I think Chthonic is just the word for, like, underworld deities in general.
And that's probably why that's stuck in my head, too.
So, there we go on that. Next, after the languages, let's take a look at skills. I think we're going to have chat help us out here.
So I think we definitely know that she's very good at diplomacy.
She's
like,
obviously
just based on
good
everything
at
that's going on.
That's very clear. And as a bartender is going to have...
some kind of a lore that's related to her
some kind
occupation.
of, like, alcohol lore or bartending
and performance
lore,
is mentioned as well.
or something like that. And people are mentioning
Barkeep
performance.
give?
Barkeep gives
alcohol lore. Yep.
So
and yeah,
I think
society
is a must-have.
Yeah.
So society and diplomacy, which succubi have, but also alcohol lore. And potentially some kind of performance.
Oh, there's a mention of crafting as well.
Crafting if she brews her own beer.
Oh, and then someone's talking about, like, the business of running the tavern.
That's probably partially with alcohol lore. Because you can use that to... you can use lore skills to earn income. So that's sort of like running the business. That's what the bartender background gives. At least in general. Now, normally succubi have some acrobatics to help with, like, flying around. They have deception and intimidation. They have some religion and stealth in addition.
Here's a question: is there a I'm good at business skill in PF2E?
So I would
feel
say
like it's
that
more like the
that
specific
would be like
businesses are like tied to
lore. But if you're just the business of business, that's probably mercantile lore or something like that. Where it's just like, I am a merchant and I do business for more business so that I can business while I business.
Yes.
All right. So I would say...
are there any skills that succubi normally have that she wouldn't have? That would be acrobatics, deception, intimidation, religion, and stealth.
So ignore the plus bonuses. Actually, I'll just delete them and put them into chat. I'm going to put on a list of skills that are a list of every skill that anyone said in chat, which all made sense, and every skill
performance needs and are there.
Every skill that a succubus ordinarily has, plus alcohol lore, which I said, but then other people also said in chat. Vote if there are any of these that we should not have on this character. And in the meantime...
Yeah, there's a mention of religion and stealth are probably not that necessary.
Yeah, they're probably less necessary for this character than normal. They might, she might still have it, but, like, pretty low, because succubi normally had religion at the highest of the low, and stealth at, like, in between moderate and low.
Intimidation was also called out, and there was a second for not having religion.
For not being good about religion. Alright, so let's just say, given that she is also a kind of a knowledge-y, person, that instead of having religion, that she just has, like, crafting and some of those other ones. Or no, there are some people who are saying that she would have some religion. So maybe her religion is just low.
Maybe she has it, but it's not great.
It's not the greatest.
So it's not really that much better than, like, a basic succubus, even though
I'll just put it at 14, even though she's 3 levels higher. Her religion is comparatively worse than, even though it is 1 higher than a basic succubus.
And I guess then if I'm thinking about, like, are there other knowledge skills that she would need to have? Like, I think society is gonna cover a fair bit of the type of stuff that she would need.
And so
she's gonna need occultism too, because Bard.
Yes. And that also would be a good int-based knowledge skill for her to use.
So her knowledge might be, like, more on the occultism realm.
She also probably may have bardic lore.
Yeah.
That works for any knowledge skill, because she's, like, an enigma-based character, but it would be lower because of the way that bardic lore works. So that would be, like, just 17 on bardic lore.
Yeah.
Still better than her religion. And so for recall knowledge, she wouldn't need to roll on religion.
And then for these other ones, like...
So for these other ones, so that was a low. So she could probably have, like, moderate, at least on society and occultism.
Yeah, because she does need that.
Where she's going to have high...
performance, because she's...
She's going to have at least high on some of these other ones.
Well, succubi are, like, extreme diplomacy, so she could potentially be extreme.
Succubi are normally extreme diplomacy, and I don't see anything about a barkeep that necessarily is going to make us worse at diplomacy comparatively. So that would be a plus 20, or no, plus 25 is extreme. Maybe we'll do plus 23, which is 1 higher than 1 higher than high, but not quite all the way to extreme.
And so I also saw some things about not necessarily needing stealth in acrobatics. So stealth did get called twice as a thing that you wouldn't necessarily have, and no one, like, defended stealth. So.
Okay, well then we'll make stealth only be 15, so it comparatively... Stealth and acrobatics just go to 15, so it comparatively is left by the wayside. Like, the kind of basic succubus is kind of expert in those, whereas this bard is only trained.
Yeah, so she's actually worse at them than a succubus normally is, so to speak.
For her level.
And then I think performance still needs a number, and crafting does, and
that's correct. Good. So her performance is probably just as good as her diplomacy, and then crafting is probably somewhere in the society range.
So I'm seeing some things going on in the chat here too, talking about, like, the dandy archetype, or like a bartender-y type lore that lets you recall knowledge on topics, but you have kind of a dubious knowledge type thing going on with your failures.
So absolutely, like the dandy lore with the gossip lore.
Yeah.
That is what their gossip lore was. But we already are an enigma bard, which gives us bardic lore, which is almost the same ability. So we absolutely could use, we could change it to just be gossip lore anyway, because we don't have to be 1-to-1 with a class.
Yeah, that's true.
And we can just say gossip lore,
as dandy.
As dandy. And then that can allow us to recall knowledge on any topic, but it's automatically dubious. So,
Indeed.
because of the fact that we are a bard, we're gonna have some magic. So let's take a look at our armor class. We're a bard, so it's not gonna be like the world's greatest armor class ever known. So it's probably going to be something like we're kind of a caster, so probably the low 27, maybe 28, because it's like we had a magic item or something like that. At this level, as a retired Avenger, we could have had a plus one
armor. Yeah.
So we can probably even put in the items like +1.
Yeah, with her strength of +2, she would be able to wear
like
an armor.
+1 studded leather.
Yeah.
And then her AC is gonna be 28, which is between low and moderate.
So that's what she has her level of 10 plus her dex of 3 plus the studded leathers
of 2 plus 1 from the magic plus 2 for being trained, so 28. Yep. There we go.
Rico says you're just ignoring my mashing Bardic and Bartender together as a joke to have a productive discussion about game mechanics.
Yeah, we do that sometimes.
We just decide to take people seriously, even if they're joking.
It's funnier. So for saves, typically bards are gonna be much better at their will save than anything else. On the other hand, her wisdom is not the highest.
But also, on the other hand, all of her skills that are save based are not her highest.
That's true.
So
she probably has like somewhere around 18 or 19 in will, which this is telling me is moderate. And she probably has the same in fortitude and just like kind of one worse in reflex. So her saves are just very close to the middle, but just slightly below.
Yep.
So fortitude plus 19. Reflex plus 18 and will plus 19. So it's just all of her saves are kind of moderate, except her reflex is one below moderate. So that's what we've got for saves. In terms of being a succubus, if she is a renegade, she's able to potentially have had the feat by now that she doesn't have a weakness to like holy/good, and so I think we might as well do that to show that this character is like not your typical.
There's a code. The base succubus has 17 will at level 7.
Yep, that's correct. So we've increased by only 2 instead of 3 when we went to level 10. In that case,
which means she has proficiency that's more based on like being a PC than about being a succubus in that case. Yeah,
that's right. And our reflex
there's a cool suggestion here. Bespoke ability: if you try to gather information from her bar, you have to make a will save or accidentally share more information than you intended about what you were asking about.
Yeah, that makes sense. So loose lips, when gathering info from her or at her bar, make a will save DC XX, or accidentally share more information about the topic than you intended.
Nice.
Awesome. So we got our saving throws figured out here for this succubus bartender.
That's a perfect explanation for why she knows so much too.
So when we're looking at her hit points, we didn't give her the weakness, so we're probably looking at it like low because she is a she is a caster, but she is a bard. They are a 8 base hit point class. So if we look at what her con score is, her con of +4 means,
but her con is actually pretty legitimate, and her saves are a little worse.
So
we maybe can give her a little more.
She's gonna have between low and moderate.
Yeah,
because even if like monsters usually, or creatures, NPCs usually respect a little higher, like as if they had toughness or a few other things, than you would do if you calculated them as a PC. But in this case, even as a PC, she would have 152.
Yeah, and
that is about halfway in between low and moderate. So I think we can give her 152.
That sounds right to me. It's just being between low and moderate instead of flat out low because of the other considerations.
That's right. And she's not like a super like 6 hit point caster either. So we're not giving her the weakness,
Mhm.
and obviously she doesn't have any resistances. So let's take a look at her strikes. So obviously you're not gonna trust a bartender who's at your bar
Who just
if she's
actively has her claws out.
actively is attacking you with a weapon or something like that. But on the other hand, a succubus can probably just use their claw.
So
just
maybe,
anytime.
so I guess maybe then the idea is that she's not necessarily carrying an obvious weapon about with her, but she could bring her claws out if she needs to.
Yeah, her nails can extend and
And
do
yeah,
a claw attack.
most of the time they probably just look like a stylish manicure, but if she needs to...
I think that makes sense. So, that's gonna be...
So it would be a melee,
one action, melee.
It's gonna be finesse, because she's more dex than strength.
It's gonna be claw, it's gonna be agile finesse, yeah. Probably. Original succubus is agile finesse.
And magical also, yeah.
Yes. And then it's gonna do, it looks like it does d8s. So, 2d8 plus, is it 2? It's 2. So that would be 11 damage if we just did it kind of based on the original succubus without doing the evil damage because that got removed. Now, obviously, that's
not enough damage.
That's very low because it's even lower than low. So we can give her some...
A bit of weapon spec
some pseudo-weapon spec. That'll put her to 13.
Which is really still quite below.
Very bad. But we can... Her accuracy at this point is probably something like... well, a basic succubus had an accuracy of
and in chat, Koja is saying
16.
she probably would avoid carrying a weapon in her tavern. So yeah, just her natural.
I think so.
Natural
so a basic succubus has a 16, which for their level is the moderate attack bonus. So if we had an accuracy of something like 18, then that has like lost a little bit of accuracy even compared to that. That puts us actually at the I think at between the moderate and low attack bonus.
So at that point we're like super inaccurate and super undamaging.
Yes,
so
we're slightly above the low, which is the caster accuracy.
But we're really low.
But we also, our damage is below low damage.
Yeah.
So, in that case, I think we can add like a 1d6 Sonic that is dealt because of like bardic reverberation.
Yeah, that makes sense. So then she's kind of like a low type situation, which she probably won't ever really want to use this. It's slashing, right. I'm guessing, for the basic?
Yes, I would say it's slashing for the claw. And then she also, because her accuracy isn't all the way down to low like a normal caster would be, it is at 18. If she uses a Courageous Anthem, she does have it up to a 19. It's still only halfway between low and moderate, though, at that point. So, that's not, like...
It kind of exists as a backup, basically.
It's not her main deal.
And since it's agile, like, it helps it a little bit, but not as much because its base accuracy is not good.
That is true.
That's what you get when you have casters.
Yep.
So who are built NPC style. So yeah, she definitely have Courageous Anthem.
She definitely have Courageous Anthem.
And she'd have a few more bardic.
She'd have Courageous Anthem, Counter Performance. She probably has whatever Inspire Heroic is called these days. Let's see what it is called these days. These days it is called Fortissimo Composition. So she probably has Fortissimo Composition, since that is something an 8th level character would have. And with that and Courageous Anthem and Counter Performance, she can do like a very big bonus. So she would have focus points. She has, I think, 2 focus points if this is what she has.
Yeah.
In total,
because she got the bonus one from taking the feat that gave her Fortissimo Composition,
essentially. So,
and does she have one from her? Would she have one from her, like her Enigma?
I think she just has one from Counter Performance.
Right.
So, in that case, we would then add some spells.
No, I mean, like, would she have a focus spell from Enigma stuff?
Oh, no, it doesn't give you a focus spell. So, in that case, we would add some spells on.
Doesn't it give you a one that you could take if you want?
No.
Or something like that with the feat, or no, there's
I
not.
mean, oh yeah, there are
feats.
feats. There are feats. She could have lore master's etude, for example. So yeah, we could do that. There's an optional feat. There's just not a there's not an automatic one. In which case she would have 3 focus points.
There we go. All right.
So then we can grab her spells. We're gonna have to grab all of them if we want to say she's all the way a bard, but she's a retired bard.
So we can.
So she may have forgotten some of her low-level spells.
And it'll be convenient
need.
if she forgets some of her low-level ones that she didn't need, because that'll make us not need to put as many things in there that are necessary.
So before we get into that, let's figure out which things she does not have that are regular succubus abilities, other than that she has explicitly lost her good weakness and her rejection vulnerability due to being a renegade demon.
Yes. So there's let's see. So a dog named Bargeist.
A dog named Bargeist.
That's awesome.
So the question is, does she have any of these following abilities? Vote for all abilities she does not have. I will put them in chat. Other than the ones I already said she didn't have, which we're definitely not going to give her unless somebody says that we have to. Then change shape. Change shape, embrace, passionate kiss. Embrace, passionate kiss.
And there's also the
profane gift.
There's also the divine innate spells.
Yes. There are the divine innate spells.
I think clearly she has tongues from this.
Yes.
And I would say that we would probably knock dominate off of there, because that spell is just
we might
trouble.
keep the dimension doors and the suggestions and the mind readings though.
Yeah.
All right.
And then detect alignment doesn't exist
anymore.
Vote
for any of these in chat that she should not have.
Is there an updated Monster Core version here for this one?
Maybe. Yes. For some reason, it went to the other one. So, we're going to have divine innate spells of translocate, suggestion.
So looks like we have a couple people saying
reading.
Drop 1 drop for seductive presence, 1 drop passionate gifts, and 2 drop profane gifts so far.
Okay. That means we're probably going to drop Profane Gift. Also, let's see, our DC of...
And another drop Passionate Kiss. Yeah.
So, we're probably going to keep Seductive Presence then and drop Passionate Kiss and Profane Gift. So.
And there's another, I don't see her. A is tedious for common NPCs. So that
we've got a raid from Eldritch Stream Games.
Welcome.
We're building a bartender.
So that would be another vote to drop A, which is I think the aura.
That is another vote for dropping the
seductive
aura.
presence. So I think then that we would be keeping change shape and embrace in that case, based on the votes that we have so far.
All right, so we are keeping Change Shape and Embrace as abilities for this succubus bartender who is a adventurer who retired and became a bartender. But we're getting rid of the other abilities. In terms of our spell DC on these...
Oh yeah, and Rohit says that like the ability to gather information from PCs, I think is like, the idea is that that's kind of... the ability that she has where in her bar, you know, or people talking to her and they're gathering information there, they spread more information that they would want to have. And then Kojo's saying like, you know, maybe she would still have that seductive presence. But so it sounds like maybe people like that kind of idea, but they wanna reflavor it to be part of that sort of thing rather than be exactly the way it is.
So it could be like a solicitous presence where it's like a seductive presence, but works only on those who are like enjoying themselves at the bar, instead of those
assuring
attracted.
presence suggested Rohit.
Aha, Eldritch Dream was working on a Pit Fiend ancestry for commission.
Awesome.
Oh, Rico thought it needed to roll every time on that presence. It could also be reassuring presence.
Yeah.
Everybody knows your name.
I like that. So it's like a reassuring presence, and people just are like, yeah, they're comfortable here, and they'll do this, and they'll talk to you, so it's easier to convince them of things.
So her DCs are probably pretty high. They used to be 26 at level 7, which is one above par. Here at level 10, they are probably 31, which is now at this point halfway in between high and extreme. Because when you start getting to high enough levels, the spellcasters wind up with extreme DCs, but we're not all the way there yet, so we may be in between high and
so
extreme.
what we got it now is a reassuring presence that works on people who are enjoying themselves in her bar rather than being based on being directly attracted to her.
Yep. And we're keeping, we are now keeping...
Based on those suggestions?
Change shape, and we are keeping embrace as abilities that a normal succubus has that we're going to keep. So we're going to keep change shape and embrace.
Change shape could definitely still be quite useful to her.
Embrace as succubus. Change shape
is
is
there
very
anything weird
useful.
in embrace with the way that she's specced out now?
The main thing in embrace is just that she can grapple using diplomacy instead of athletics.
You know, I can definitely see her being like, she has rowdy people in the bar. She's like, nope, you're coming with me. You're leaving. Convincing them to come along and get out when they're causing trouble.
She just uses diplomacy.
Yeah.
It's like, move along, move along. All right, so now we're going to have her occult spontaneous spells, and she retired, and therefore she forgot some of these.
Some of the lower level ones,
Some of these
so we don't have to put them in there.
that we didn't care about. She's forgotten them during her time because
and
honestly,
she doesn't have demonic pact anymore because
you have to be in good standing with the abyss to use your abyssal pact or demonic pact. So let's take a look at our occult spell options. And we can keep anything that seems like it's super thematic. And we also know that,
like, sort of from being a succubus, she has first rank charm at will. Then, so like,
yes, she obviously doesn't need first rank charm to charm lower level characters.
Yes,
because obviously that's not going to work very well on higher level characters at that point.
So let's take a look at what she's got going on in the 5th rank, which is her main power. And constant true speech is going to be quite nice for her here.
That is very useful.
I'm thinking, like, are some of these spells maybe potentially good themes for like a bar?
Yeah, like banishment of, like, you can't be in my bar, go back to your home plane if any of the other people from but can you cast banishment when you're not on your home plane? Let's see.
This spell fails if you aren't on your home plane. No, you can't.
Yeah, you can't, and she's not on her home
so
plane.
That's not gonna work for her.
So she cannot do that.
Cloak of Colors, I could see.
Cloak of Colors, where you just surround yourself with...
you surround the target
with swirling colors that could blind or stun nearby creatures. That's another one of those ones that's in the core rulebook, but not player core, and it's not clear why it's not in player core, but we can use it anyway.
Well, we could also, we could also skip it for that reason. So
there's no reason we couldn't use it. I mean, we're definitely been using, for instance, Secrets of Magic stuff all the time on this show when we pick things.
Mind Probe was a suggestion.
We could have that. We've got Mind Reading, but we don't have Mind Probe, the extra invasive spell to uncover knowledge. So we could go grab Mind Probe. That would definitely be useful, even out into retirement here. And then we could grab that in addition to something else that would be maybe more fighty, given that our backup claw attack is kind of complete garbage.
Yeah, we're going to need something for combat for the other one.
We could also have a third one if one of them is...
That's a comment there. House Cocktail, Coke of Colors, some kind of rum, whiskey, and Coke with various flavors. Just ignore the cobra and anachronism.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. So, let's see.
Something that deals damage.
Mm-hmm. So...
let's see. Shadow Blast deals damage, right?
Shadow Blast does deal damage,
but it's also
it's very versatile, but it's not very high.
Yeah.
In the amount of damage that it deals.
Synaptic Pulse.
Synaptic Pulse will definitely stun targets, and that has some high value, as does Synesthesia.
Well, she would have 3, right? Because she's an even level.
She's level 10, so she would have 3. Forceful Hand is one that flies, and then...
Oh, and Forceful Hand was mentioned to be good for a bouncer and a bartender.
It could be a bouncer. Yeah, we could have 3. So
yeah,
we
let's
could
do
have
Mind Probe, Forceful Hand, and then we can do one that's about damage.
That's a good one. I think Forceful Hand may use Spell Attack modifier, so we can...
So then we'll need to list her Spell Attack modifier.
We can just list it anyway. We're likely to
need it at some point anyway, yeah.
Her other things don't, but... Alright, so she already has some somewhat accelerated spell DC, so I'm not going to give her spell attack as being too higher than her spell DC minus 10, because her spell DC is already above the high.
Yeah, so because
we don't need I'll just make it exactly equal to her.
So it's more like a PC, 10. Yeah. So let's see.
So we've got a Forceful Hand, how
damaging is Repelling Pulse? Is it mostly about knockback, which is a little bit of damage? Or is it mostly about damage and...
It does like 70-10 force. That's like okay. And it knocks creatures back in an emanation. Like, we could definitely do Repelling Pulse. So she's all about like, get out of my bar, you jerks. And then, so for 4th, we can grab... So, Rohit, you're right that NPCs sometimes do have higher than expected spells, but we try not to give it to them if we don't have to, especially when we're duplicating like their PC-esque spellcasting abilities as opposed to their demonic abilities. So, like, the Dominate that a basic succubus has at level 7 is one that they should be level 11 before they have. We took it away for thematic reasons. So let's see. At rank 4, we've got several different options that we can take.
What's Winning Streak again?
Winning Streak is the one where you quicken them, and if they keep critting, it keeps quickening their allies. But if they don't, or they may only.
I guess it's probably more like a gambling.
Yeah, it's sort of.
That would be more like if she was a succubus casino owner than a succubus bartender.
I could see that more for casino.
Let's see.
Whereas, maybe she has Read Omens.
Oh yeah, for giving
part
the advice.
Of, like, giving quests. To have one like quest giving.
Oh, Infectious Melody is a suggestion too. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Let's do it.
Infectious Melody that makes.
Come on, everybody!
They have to sing along in the bar. Come on, guys, we gotta sing along.
Yes, perfect.
Infectious Melody, Read Omens, and one more here at level 4. That could
probably
be fun.
A damager, since we don't have a damager yet, or something like Confusion that is a damager indirectly.
Right. Yeah, I could see Confusion, like, because the bar, you get a little drunk, you don't know what you're doing. And let's do 3rd rank and then cantrips and call it good without doing 2nd and 1st rank. So in 3rd rank, I think we could do Roaring Applause. She's got At Will Suggestion. So she's good on the suggestions.
But I guess the question is, should the suggestion be higher rank when it's at will because of the fact that because is suggestion incap?
Yes.
So
maybe the suggestion
should be 5th
at
rank.
Will should be 5th rank.
Yeah.
In her divine spells, her translocate can stay at 4th because
because she also has a once per day translocate at 5th and then the 4th at will because it's different functionality.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's give her some other things in here.
So now she's got suggestion top rank.
Maybe she's got locate as a 3rd rank spell just because she wants to be able to like find her stuff, or she leaves a particular bottle of alcohol somewhere. And then maybe haste.
Yeah.
Never gonna be angry about haste. And then cantrips. Let's do the following cantrips. So that is going to be occult cantrips. So let's grab a few useful.
So she probably has some kind of detect magic type thing so that she can tell if you've brought nonsense into her bar.
I think that makes sense. So detect magic, probably like telekinetic hand and telekinetic projectile to like help move things around in the bar.
Oh,
and
read
also,
the air is a suggestion
and
too.
also to like throw a mug and then
read
the
but
air
how
is
does
good.
that's like picking up societal cues. What are the
Yes.
mechanics on that one again? I don't remember that one off the top of my
You
head.
take in a deep breath to read the air, and then recall knowledge using society to gain immediate social situation knowledge with the status bonus to make an impression.
Yeah,
so
that makes total
read the
sense.
air is
Yeah.
absolutely
All right,
thematic
she's got
here.
it.
So there we go. Not rad the air, read the air. All right, so we've got her spells here for occult, spontaneous. We've got her divine innate spells, and she can always fall back on her rank 5 telekinetic projectile if she has to. It's
It's better than her claw, but right?
It's significantly more damaging than her claw because it does 5d6
and more accurate as well.
And it's way more accurate. 5d6 is actually not that much more damaging than her claw, and it takes more actions.
That's true.
It takes more actions, but it's drastically 3 more accurate while also being ranged. And versatile between 3 damage types. So there's some situations where she might do the
the claw could still be used in some situations, so it's worth having.
I think it's worth having, and she can also do a courageous anthem.
Yeah, and like Coach was saying, she definitely prefer to fight at range. It's like you only take the claws out if you absolutely have to.
She prefers to back people up using her forceful hand and repelling pulse to keep the enemies away.
Or use confusion to confound them, and then have her allies be able to pick them off when they're not.
Use infectious melody to force them to sing, or roaring applause to force them to clap.
Yes.
And rely on allies, particularly those with reactive strikes, to attack people while they're clapping.
one of her real defenses is knowing the rumors so that she can predict danger before it happens. As well as I imagine she has quite a few allies that she can call upon to assist her.
If you attack her, you're usually doing that in her bar.
Yeah.
And the other people in the bar are probably going to take her side.
Yes.
Especially since they have a penalty even against like her diplomacy and mind control if they were having fun in her bar. In case for some reason you planted people in the audience who were going to help you fight her, she could surreptitiously get some of them onto her side by using suggestion of being like, you wouldn't want to like make a big scene in this bar, everybody's having fun, why don't you just leave peacefully?
Yep.
So, that's another thing she can just do at will. And given that it's probably reasonable for people to just leave instead of murder her in the bar, that's probably a suggestion that the GM would allow in most cases. And she has it at will as a 5th rank spell, so with a pretty high DC, so she's pretty likely to, if she has any backup who's fighting in the front lines, be able to like remove one person from the other team each turn with suggestion, even if she doesn't do anything else.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think this is great in terms of this succubus bartender bard. She has a lot of potential uses in your adventure. She can be a source of information or quests. She can be someone that is an information broker that the PCs are worried about having information the PCs don't want to spread.
You know, whether or not people are aware that she's a succubus or think she's some other ancestry, and then that's like a big secret that she has, or what's going on. So.
There could be like a double twist where she's hiding being a succubus, but she's revealed to be a succubus, and then the PCs think she's like a evil demonic person. Then the double twist is she was not evil anyway. She wasn't unholy. She's just trying to do her own thing as a succubus renegade, and she doesn't want people to know she's a succubus because she knows they're gonna act.
They're gonna
just
assume.
like that.
Yep.
So there we have it. Awesome. We have created an NPC, a complex character with spells and some of the most complicated things that we could put in there. And we did it all in under an hour. So let's say goodbye to YouTube, then vote for the next episode. Bye, YouTube. See you next time.
Bye.